Captain Alex Turner stood at the center of the command room, looking at the worried faces around him. Everyone was waiting for him to explain his crazy idea. Alex had spent the last hour thinking about the Galactic Council's message, and he had come up with something that might work. "The aliens think they know everything about humans," Alex said. "They called us primitive and aggressive. They think we're just another species that will roll over and surrender when threatened." General Cole crossed his arms. "They're not wrong. About our technology level, Alex. That transmission came from technology we can't even understand." "That's exactly my point," Alex replied. "They're so advanced that they've forgotten what it's like to be desperate. When you have overwhelming power, you start to think in predictable ways. But humans are at our most dangerous when we're cornered." Dr. Lisa Park looked up from her computer. "What are you thinking, Alex?" Alex walked over to the main screen and pulled up a star map showing human colonies. "The Council expects us to either surrender or fight them with conventional weapons. They've probably dealt with thousands of species who did exactly that. But what if we don't fight them the way they expect?" President Williams leaned forward. "Explain." "We don't have their advanced technology," Alex said, "but we have something they might not expect. Human engineering and human willingness to take risks that other species would consider insane." Just then, Dr. Sam Rodriguez walked into the command room. Sam was the head of Earth's Hypersonic Weapons Division, and he looked like he hadn't slept in days. His hair was messy and his clothes were wrinkled, but his eyes were bright with excitement. "Alex called me down here," Sam said. "He thinks I might have something useful." General Cole turned to face Sam. "What kind of useful?" Sam activated a holographic display that showed a long, thin object moving through space. "For the past 5 years, my team has been working on asteroid mining technology. We developed a system that can accelerate dense metal objects to incredible speeds using magnetic fields." Dr. Park studied the hologram. "How fast are we talking about?" "Fast enough that when they hit something, they release more energy than a nuclear weapon," Sam replied. "The problem was always guidance and timing. It's very hard to hit a moving target when your projectile is traveling at a significant fraction of light speed." Alex smiled. "But what if we don't need to hit a moving target? What if we aim at something that can't move?" President Williams was starting to understand. "You want to use these weapons against the Galactic Council?" "Not exactly," Alex said. "I want to use them to send a message. The Council thinks we're primitive, so they won't expect us to have weapons that can threaten them. If we can demonstrate that we're more dangerous than they thought, maybe we can change the terms of this conversation." General Cole was shaking his head. "Even if this works, it's essentially a suicide mission. Someone has to get close enough to their territory to fire these weapons." "I'll do it," said a voice from the doorway. Everyone turned to see Commander Nicole Davis walking into the room. Nicole was one of Earth's best ship commanders, and she had volunteered for more dangerous missions than anyone else in the fleet. "Nicole, you don't even know what we're planning yet," Alex said. "I know enough," Nicole replied. "You're planning something crazy that might save humanity, and it probably involves someone not coming home." "I'm in." Alex looked at Nicole for a long moment, then nodded. "We'll need to modify one of our fastest ships. Something that can get close to Council territory without being detected until it's too late." "The Mercury's Edge," Nicole said immediately. "It's a research vessel, but it has the best engines in the fleet. If we strip out the scientific equipment, we can make room for Sam's weapons system." Sam was already working on his portable computer. "I'll need to completely redesign the guidance system. We're not talking about hitting asteroids anymore. We need precision targeting that can work at interstellar distances." Dr. Park looked worried. "Even if this works, won't the Council just retaliate? They said they've destroyed 47 species." "That's the beauty of it," Alex said. "We're not trying to defeat them in a war. We're trying to prove that humans are too dangerous to treat like primitives. If we can show them that we're willing and able to hurt them, they might decide it's easier to negotiate than to fight." Chief Engineer Pete Watson had been listening from the back of the room. Now he stepped forward. I can modify the Mercury's edge. The ship's mining lasers can be converted into targeting systems. It will take some work, but we can do it. Navigation. Officer Lisa Grant joined the conversation. I've been studying the star charts. The closest council facility is on Kepler 442b. It's heavily defended, but if we approach from the right angle, we might be able to get close enough. President Williams stood up. This is incredibly dangerous. If it goes wrong, we could start a war we can't win. Ma'am, Alex said respectfully, we're already in a war we can't win. The Council is going to destroy us in 3 days unless we surrender everything that makes us human. At least this way, we go down fighting. General Cole was studying the tactical displays. What kind of target are you thinking about, Sam? Sam pulled up another hologram showing a large crystalline structure. Council communication arrays. They use quantum entanglement networks to coordinate across the galaxy. If we can take out one of their major communication hubs, it will cause chaos in their command structure. And it sends a clear message, Alex added. We're telling them that we can reach out and touch their most important infrastructure. They'll have to take us seriously after that. Nicole was already making notes on her datapad. How long do we have to prepare? Less than 48 hours, Pete said. The modifications to Mercury's edge will take at least 36 hours if we work nonstop. Dr. Park looked up from her calculations. The energy requirements for this are enormous. We'll need to reroute power from every non-essential system on the ship. Do it, President Williams said. Alex, I'm authorizing this mission, but I want to be clear about something. This isn't just about sending a message to the Council. This is about proving to ourselves that humans don't give up when faced with impossible odds. Alex nodded. Understood, ma'am. Sam was already heading for the door. I need to get back to my lab. Pete, Lisa, Nicole, we need to work together on this. Time is not on our side. As the team began to leave, General Cole grabbed Alex's arm. You know this is probably a one-way trip, right? Alex looked back at the star map showing all the human colonies. Ryan, if we don't try this, it's definitely a one-way trip for our entire species. At least this way we have a chance. The next 36 hours would determine whether humanity had a future among the stars or whether they would become just another footnote in the Galactic Council's long history of conquered species. But for the first time since the alien ultimatum arrived, the people in the command room felt something other than despair. They felt hope. The Mercury's edge dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Kepler 442 system with a flash of blue light. Commander Nicole Davis sat in the captain's chair, watching the sensor displays light up with information about the alien world ahead of them. Her hands were steady on the controls, but inside she felt like her heart was trying to beat its way out of her chest. We're in, announced Navigation Officer Lisa Grant from her station. Distance to target is 12 million kilometers. The Council facility is right where our intelligence said it would be. Chief Engineer Pete Watson was monitoring the ship's modified systems from the engineering station. All weapons systems are online. The targeting array is working perfectly. Sam really outdid himself with this design. Nicole activated the ship's communication system and opened a channel back to Earth. The message would take several minutes to reach home, but she wanted Earth Defense Command to know they had arrived safely. Earth Command, this is Mercury's edge. We have reached the target system and are beginning our approach. All systems are functioning normally. Tell Admiral Morrison that we'll make this count. Through the main viewport, Nicole could see Kepler 442b growing larger. The planet was beautiful in a terrifying way, with purple oceans and silver continents that reflected light like metal. Massive structures floated in orbit around the planet, each one larger than Earth's biggest cities. Nicole, Lisa said quietly, I'm reading some very large energy signatures from those orbital platforms. Each one of those things could probably destroy our entire fleet. Good thing we're not planning to fight them, Nicole replied. We just need to get close enough to send our message. The Mercury's Edge continued its approach, using the modified stealth systems that Pete had installed. The ship was running silent, with all non-essential systems powered down. To most sensors, they would look like a piece of space debris or maybe a small asteroid. On the planet's surface, Ambassador Velthar was reviewing daily reports in his crystalline office. Velthar was similar to Ambassador Zethkara, but his crystal body was more blue than clear. He had been the overseer of this system for over 3,000 Earth years, and nothing interesting ever happened here. The Kepler 442 system was home to one of the Council's most important communication arrays. The massive structure was built into the side of a mountain and connected every Council world through quantum entanglement. Messages could travel instantly across the galaxy through this network. "Sir," called one of Velthar's assistants, "we're detecting a small object approaching the system. It appears to be a primitive spacecraft." Velthar barely looked up from his reports. "Probably another surrender delegation. The human species was given an ultimatum recently. Route them to the standard diplomatic approach vector." The assistant looked confused. "Sir, the ship is not following standard approach protocols. It's heading directly toward the communication array." Now Velthar was interested. He activated his office's main display and looked at the approaching ship. It was definitely human design, but it was moving much faster than most human vessels. More importantly, it wasn't responding to any communication attempts. "Activate Defense Platform 7, Velthar ordered. "Give them one warning shot, then destroy the vessel if it doesn't change course." On the Mercury's Edge, alarms began sounding as the Council's defense systems locked onto their ship. Nicole could see massive energy weapons swiveling to point in their direction. "They've spotted us," Pete announced. "Defense platforms are powering up." "Right on schedule," Nicole said. She activated the ship's broadcasting system and sent a message on all frequencies, including the Council's own communication channels. "Attention, Galactic Council. This is Commander Nicole Davis of the Earth vessel Mercury's Edge. The Council demanded Earth's surrender. Earth respectfully declines." Her voice was calm and professional, like she was discussing the weather instead of declaring war on the most powerful organization in the galaxy. "We have studied your history and your methods," Nicole continued. "You believe that overwhelming force is the only language primitive species understand. Today, we will demonstrate that humans speak a different language." Lisa was counting down at her station. "Target lock achieved. Firing solution is optimal. Ready to launch on your command." Nicole took a deep breath. What they were about to do would change everything. There would be no going back after this moment. "Consider this a demonstration of human diplomacy," Nicole said into the communication system. "Fire." The modified mining laser activated, accelerating a single tungsten rod to 97% of light speed. The rod was no bigger than a baseball bat, but at that velocity, it carried more destructive energy than anything humans had ever created. The tungsten projectile crossed the distance to the planet's surface in less than 3 seconds. It struck the Council's communication array with the force of a small nuclear weapon, but much more precisely focused. The crystalline structure that had stood for millions of years simply vanished. One moment it was there, a beautiful tower reaching into the sky. The next moment, there was nothing but a glowing crater where the mountain used to be. The shock wave from the impact rolled across the planet's surface like a visible wave. Every seismic detector on the planet registered the hit. The explosion was so bright that it could be seen from orbit, even in daylight. Ambassador Velthar stared at his displays in complete shock. The communication array was gone. Not damaged, not partially destroyed, but completely erased from existence. In his 3,000 years of service, nothing like this had ever happened. "Impossible," he whispered. On the Mercury's Edge, Nicole was already preparing her second message. "Attention all Council vessels and installations in this system. Earth has 17 more projectiles currently in flight to various Council worlds. They will arrive in 6 hours, unless Earth receives an immediate ceasefire and agreement to negotiate. This was the bluff that everything depended on. Earth didn't actually have 17 more weapons ready to fire. The tungsten rod they had just used was the only one they had been able to prepare in time. But the Council didn't know that. I repeat, Nicole continued, 17 relativistic projectiles are currently en route to Council targets. Each one carries the same destructive power you just witnessed. Earth demands immediate negotiations, or we will demonstrate our resolve on a much larger scale. The silence that followed was deafening. Every Council ship in the system had detected the weapon strike, and every Council leader was trying to understand what had just happened. How could a primitive species possess weapons that could destroy Council installations so easily? Pete was monitoring the Council's communication channels. "Nicole, they're going crazy over there. I'm picking up emergency broadcasts on every frequency. They're calling for reinforcements and demanding explanations." Lisa was tracking the defense platforms. "The orbital weapons are still aimed at us, but they haven't fired yet. I think we've got their attention." Nicole smiled grimly. "Good. Now we find out if humans are as smart as we think we are, or if we just signed our species' death warrant." The Mercury's Edge held its position at the edge of the system, waiting for the Council's response. In the next few hours, they would learn whether their desperate gamble had worked, or whether they had just given the Galactic Council a reason to make humanity's extinction even more thorough than originally planned. But for the first time since, the alien ultimatum had arrived. A human ship sat in Council space as an equal, not as a supplicant. The message had been delivered at hypersonic speed, and now the galaxy would have to decide how to respond. Admiral Jake Morrison was drinking his morning coffee when the red alert sirens began screaming through Earth Defense Command. He set down his cup and ran toward the central command room, his boots echoing on the metal floors. Something big was happening, and Jake had a bad feeling about it. The command room was already full of people when Jake arrived. General Ryan Cole stood near the main screen, his face pale. Dr. Lisa Park was typing quickly on her computer, checking data that scrolled across multiple monitors. President Kate Williams had just walked in, still wearing her pajamas under a hastily thrown-on coat. "What do we have?" Jake asked. "Unknown transmission coming in from deep space," General Cole replied. "It's using technology we've never seen before. The signal is stronger than anything we can produce, and it's coming from outside our solar system." Dr. Park looked up from her computer. "The transmission is definitely artificial. Someone or something is trying to talk to us. The signal is so powerful that every radio telescope on Earth picked it up at the same time." President Williams moved closer to the main screen. "Can we understand it?" "That's the strange part," Dr. Park said. "The message is already translated into perfect English. Whatever sent this knows our language better than most humans do." Jake felt his stomach drop. First contact with aliens was something humanity had always dreamed about, but this didn't feel like a friendly hello. The timing and the power of the signal suggested something much more serious. "Play the message," President Williams ordered. The main screen flickered and then showed something that made everyone in the room take a step back. A tall figure appeared on the screen, but it wasn't human. The being looked like it was made of living crystal with sharp edges and surfaces that reflected light in strange ways. Its voice was deep and cold, like winter wind through empty caves. "Greetings, primitive inhabitants of the third planet in System Sol 3, the being said. Its mouth didn't move like a human mouth, but the words were clear and perfect. "I am Ambassador Zeth Kara of the Galactic Council, speaking for the civilized species of this galaxy." Jake noticed that everyone in the room had stopped breathing. This was really happening. They were talking to aliens, and the aliens were calling them primitive. The crystal being continued speaking. "Your species has violated the natural order protocol by expanding beyond your home system without permission. In the past 50 Earth years, you have established colonies on 17 worlds and moons. This expansion is forbidden for species at your development level. Dr. Park was writing notes as fast as she could. Jake could see her hands shaking. None of them had expected aliens to already know so much about human activities in space. The Galactic Council has observed your reckless use of faster-than-light travel, Ambassador Zethkara said. Your primitive understanding of quantum mechanics makes your ships dangerous to other civilizations. You fly through space like children, playing with explosives. General Cole's face was getting red with anger, but he stayed quiet. Jake knew the general didn't like being lectured, especially by someone calling humans children. Furthermore, the alien ambassador continued, your species shows the typical aggression patterns of lower life forms. You have brought weapons to space and established military bases on multiple worlds. This behavior threatens the peace that the Galactic Council has maintained for over 2 million Earth years. President Williams stepped forward. We didn't know there were rules, she said to the screen, even though this was obviously a recorded message. The crystal being's image seemed to look directly at her, which was impossible, but still made everyone uncomfortable. Ignorance of galactic law is no excuse. Your species has had sufficient time to develop proper communication protocols. The fact that you have not contacted the Council shows your primitive nature. Jake was starting to understand that this wasn't going to be a friendly conversation. The aliens weren't here to welcome humanity to the galactic community. They were here to give orders. The Galactic Council hereby issues the following ultimatum to the human species, Ambassador Zethkara announced. You have 72 standard galactic hours to complete the following actions. First, all human colonies beyond your home system must be abandoned immediately. Second, all faster-than-light capable ships must be destroyed or surrendered to Council forces. Third, all weapons in space must be dismantled. The room was completely silent now. Jake could hear his own heartbeat. These aliens were demanding that humanity give up everything they had worked for in space. Fourth, the ambassador continued, your species will accept Council oversight of all technological development. No new space technology will be developed without Council approval. Fifth, Earth will pay tribute to the Council in the form of rare metals and biological specimens. Dr. Park made a small sound like she was going to be sick. Jake didn't blame her. The aliens were basically demanding that humanity become their slaves. Failure to comply with these demands will result in the complete sterilization of your home planet, Ambassador Zethkara said, and his crystal face showed no emotion at all. The Council has eliminated 47 species for similar violations of galactic law. You are not special. The message ended, leaving the command room in total silence. The main screen went back to showing Earth's orbital traffic as if nothing had happened. But everything had changed in the past few minutes. President Williams was the first to speak. How long do we have? General Cole checked his watch. If their hours are the same as ours, about 3 days. Jake walked over to Dr. Park, who was still staring at her computer screen. Lisa, what do you think? Are they serious? Dr. Park looked up at him with wide eyes. The energy signature of that transmission was incredible, Jake. They sent that message from at least 50 light years away, and it arrived here with perfect clarity. Their technology is so far beyond ours that we might as well be throwing rocks at a nuclear submarine. So we surrender? General Cole asked. Or we fight and get wiped out, President Williams said quietly. Jake thought about the human colonies scattered across nearby star systems. Millions of people lived on those worlds now. They had built homes, started families, created new lives among the stars. The idea of abandoning all of that felt wrong. There might be another option, a voice said from the doorway. Everyone turned to see Captain Alex Turner walking into the command room. Alex was one of Earth's best pilots, and he commanded the experimental stealth ship Nighthawk. He was also known for having crazy ideas that somehow worked. "What kind of option?" President Williams asked. Alex smiled, but it wasn't a happy smile. "The kind that might get us all killed, but at least we go down fighting. These council aliens think they know everything about humans. Maybe it's time to show them how wrong they are." Jake looked around the room at the faces of Earth's leaders. In 3 days, humanity would either surrender everything they had worked for, or they would find a way to fight back against an enemy with technology beyond their understanding. Thus, countdown had begun. The emergency session on Nexus Prime had been going for 6 hours, and Ambassador Zethkara had never seen the Galactic Council chamber in such chaos. Representatives from dozens of species were talking at the same time, their voices creating a horrible mixture of sounds that echoed off the crystal walls. "Order!" Zethkara shouted, his crystalline body flashing with bright light. "We must have order!" Slowly, the other council members became quiet, but Zethkara could see the fear in their faces. In the 2 million years since the council was formed, no primitive species had ever done what the humans just did. "Let us review what we know," Zethkara said, trying to sound calm. "The human vessel destroyed the Kepler 442 communication array with a single projectile. Our analysis shows the weapon was a simple piece of metal accelerated to near light speed." Ambassador Thexnal of the Velthari Empire stood up. Thexnal looked like a giant insect with blue skin and 4 arms. His species had been part of the Council for over 1 million years, and they were known for their military expertise. "The weapon itself is not sophisticated," Thexnal said, "but the precision required to hit such a target from that distance is incredible. Our own weapon specialists say it should be impossible for a species at their technology level. More importantly," added Ambassador Yelshaw of the Crystalline Collective, "they claim to have 17 more such weapons already in flight. If this is true, we face an unprecedented threat." Zethkara activated the chamber's main display, showing the destroyed communication array, where once stood a beautiful crystalline tower that had connected thousands of worlds. Now there was only a smoking crater. "Our intelligence reports on human expansion were clearly incomplete," Zethkara admitted. "We believed they were simply spreading randomly across nearby systems, but their colony placement now appears to have been strategic." The display changed to show a map of human colonies scattered across local space. Each red dot represented a human settlement, and Zethkara had to admit that the pattern was clever. From these positions, humans could strike at dozens of our important installations, Thexnal observed. "How did we miss this?" Ambassador Noxvan of the Shadow Fleet spoke from the dark corner where his species preferred to stand. "Because we assumed they were primitive. We did not think they capable of long-term strategic planning." Back on Earth, Dr. Lisa Park was working frantically in the Intelligence Center, listening to intercepted Council communications. The alien languages were difficult, but Earth's computers had been analyzing Council broadcasts for months. "Admiral Morrison," she called out, "you need to hear this." Jake Morrison hurried over to Lisa's station. "What do you have?" "The Council is completely confused," Lisa said, playing back a translated conversation. "They're trying to figure out how we developed relativistic weapons so quickly. They don't understand that we've been preparing for this confrontation for over a year." Admiral Morrison smiled grimly. "Good. Confusion is our friend right now." General Ryan Cole joined them at the intelligence station. "Any word from Nicole and the Mercury's Edge?" "They're still holding position at the edge of the Kepler system," Lisa replied. "The Council hasn't fired on them yet, which is encouraging. I think our bluff is working." President Kate Williams entered the command center looking like she hadn't slept since the crisis began. "What's the status of our actual weapons production?" Dr. Sam Rodriguez looked up from his engineering reports. "We have 3 more relativistic projectiles that could be ready in 12 hours. After that, we need at least a week to produce more." "So if the Council calls our bluff about 17 weapons," President Williams said, "we're in serious trouble." That's why we need them to agree to negotiations before they figure that out, Admiral Morrison replied. On Nexus Prime, the council session was becoming more heated. Ambassador Velthar had arrived from Kepler 442 to give a first-hand report of the attack. The humans destroyed our communication array like it was made of paper, Velthar said, his blue crystal body trembling with emotion. The weapon struck with such force that it vaporized the entire mountain. Our seismic detectors are still recording aftershocks. But how many such weapons do they actually possess? Asked Ambassador Kexthor of the Machine Collective. His robotic voice showed no emotion, but his optical sensors were flashing rapidly. Unknown, Velthar admitted. Their ship claimed 17 more were in flight, but we have no way to detect or track relativistic projectiles once they are launched. This was the Council's greatest fear. Their advanced technology was useless against weapons they couldn't see coming. By the time a relativistic projectile was detected, it would already have hit its target. We could destroy their home planet immediately, suggested Thexnal. End this threat before it grows larger. And confirm to every species in the galaxy that we destroy civilizations for defending themselves? Noxvin replied from his dark corner. We would face rebellions on 1,000 worlds. Zeth Kara was studying the tactical reports. The humans had chosen their target perfectly. The Kepler 442 communication array was important enough to get the Council's attention, but not so critical that its loss would cripple their operations. They are sending us a message, Zeth Kara realized. This was not an attempt to seriously damage our infrastructure. It was a demonstration of capability. What kind of message? Yel-Shah asked. That they refuse to be treated as primitives, Zeth Kara replied. They are proving they can hurt us if we try to force them to surrender. Back on Earth, the 6-hour deadline the Mercury's Edge had announced was approaching. Everyone in the command center was watching the clocks, waiting to see if the Council would respond to their ultimatum. 2 minutes until deadline, Lisa announced. Admiral, Morrison opened a communication channel to all human colonies. All stations, this is Earth Defense Command. Prepare for emergency protocols. The next few minutes will determine humanity's future. On dozens of worlds, millions of humans stopped what they were doing and waited. Children looked up at alien skies, wondering if they would live to see another day. Adults held each other, close, hoping that their leaders had made the right choice. In the Council chamber on Nexus Prime, Zeth Kara made a decision that would change galactic politics forever. Open a communication channel to the human home world, he ordered. Sir? His assistant asked, confused. You heard me, Zeth Kara said. It is time we spoke to these humans directly. If they wish to be treated as equals, then we shall see if they can negotiate like equals. The chamber fell silent as the communication system activated. For the first time in Council history, they were about to negotiate with a species that had threatened them successfully. The age of human submission was over. The age of human diplomacy was about to begin. The communication screen in Earth Defense Command flickered to life, showing Ambassador Zeth Kara's crystalline face. But this time something was different. The alien's voice was not cold and commanding like before. There was uncertainty in his crystal features, maybe even respect. Greetings, representatives of Earth, Zeth Kara said. I am Ambassador Zeth Kara of the Galactic Council. We wish to discuss the recent events in the Kepler 442 system. President Kate Williams stepped forward, flanked by Admiral Jake Morrison and General Ryan Cole. Behind them, Dr. Lisa Park and Dr. Sam Rodriguez watched nervously. This was the moment everything had been building toward. Ambassador Zeth Kara, President Williams said, her voice steady despite the enormous pressure. We are ready to talk. But understand that Earth will not accept the terms of your original ultimatum. Zeth Kara's crystal body shifted slightly, which Dr. Park recognized as a sign of discomfort. Your species has demonstrated capabilities that our intelligence reports did not indicate. The Council is prepared to discuss alternative arrangements. Admiral Morrison moved closer to the screen. What kind of alternatives? The Council offers a compromise, Zeth Kara replied. Your colonies may remain, but they must accept Council monitoring. Your faster-than-light technology will be limited to approved designs. Your weapons development must be overseen by Council inspectors. President Williams looked at her advisors, then back at the screen. That's not a compromise, Ambassador. That's just a softer version of slavery. The alien's crystal face seemed to dim. Then what do you propose? Full membership in the Galactic Council, President Williams said without hesitation. Equal voting rights, no technological restrictions, and no Council oversight of human activities. The silence that followed was so complete that everyone in the command center could hear their own heartbeats. On Nexus Prime, the other Council members were probably having emergency discussions about this impossible demand. Finally, Zeth Kara spoke again. No primitive species has ever been granted full Council membership. The protocols require a minimum of 50,000 years of space travel and demonstrated technological advancement. Your protocols didn't account for species that develop relativistic weapons, Admiral Morrison replied. The rules have changed, Ambassador. Dr. Sam Rodriguez stepped forward. Perhaps the Ambassador would like to know more about our weapons technology? Zeth Kara's optical sensors focused on Sam. Explain. Sam activated a holographic display showing the tungsten projectile design. The weapon that destroyed your communication array was not our most advanced design. We have solved the guidance and timing problems that made relativistic weapons impractical for other species. This was the crucial moment. Sam was about to reveal information that would either secure Earth's position or give the Council enough knowledge to defend against human weapons. Our magnetic acceleration system can fire projectiles from anywhere in a star system and hit targets. With perfect accuracy, Sam continued. We can strike multiple targets simultaneously, and our weapons are completely undetectable until impact. Ambassador Zeth Kara was very still. How many such weapons do you possess? Enough, Sam replied simply. Back on the Mercury's edge, Commander Nicole Davis was monitoring the negotiations through the communication link with Earth. Her ship was still holding position at the edge of the Kepler system, surrounded by massive Council defense platforms that could destroy her vessel in seconds. Nicole, came Admiral Morrison's voice over the communication system. Are you ready to come home? Nicole smiled at her crew. More than ready, Admiral. But first I have something to say to our Council friends here. She opened a channel to all Council vessels in the system. This is Commander Nicole Davis. I want you to know that my crew and I volunteered for this mission, knowing we probably wouldn't survive. But we're still here, and so are you. That tells me that maybe both our species are smarter than we thought. DD. Response came from Ambassador Velthar on the planet's surface. Commander Davis, why did your species choose to attack our communication array specifically? Because communication is how civilizations solve problems, Nicole replied. We could have targeted your weapons or your ships, but that would have been an act of war. Instead, we showed you that we can reach your most important infrastructure, and then we offered to talk. There was a long pause before Velthar responded. That is unexpected wisdom for a primitive species. We're not primitive, Ambassador, Nicole said. We're just different. Maybe it's time the galaxy learned the difference. On Earth, the negotiations continued for 3 more hours. Ambassador Zeth Kara consulted repeatedly with the other Council members, and gradually the terms began to change. The Council is prepared to offer associate membership, Zeth Kara finally announced. You would have limited voting rights and access to certain Council technologies. Full membership or nothing, President Williams repeated. We've proven we can defend ourselves. Now we're offering to be partners instead of enemies. Dr. Lisa Park had been analyzing the Council's communication patterns throughout the negotiations. She whispered to Admiral Morrison, "They're scared, Jake. Really scared. They don't know how to handle a species that fights back effectively." Admiral Morrison nodded and spoke to the screen. "Ambassador, let me be clear about something. Humans don't want to be your enemies. We want to explore the galaxy, learn from other species, and contribute to galactic civilization. But we will not do it as servants." "And if the Council refuses?" "Your demands?" Zethkara asked. General Cole stepped forward. "Then we'll go our own way. We'll continue expanding, continue developing our technology, and continue defending ourselves when threatened. Eventually, we'll be powerful enough that you'll have to treat us as equals anyway. The question is whether you want us as friends or competitors." Ambassador Zethkara was quiet for a very long time. In the background, the Council members could be heard arguing in their various languages. Finally, the crystal being made a decision that would reshape galactic politics. "The Galactic Council hereby recognizes Earth as a full member, with all the rights and responsibilities that membership entails," Zethkara announced. "We welcome humanity to the galactic community." The command center erupted in cheers. "President?" Williams smiled, but she wasn't finished yet. "There's one more thing, Ambassador," she said. "We want Captain Alex Turner to head Earth's first Council embassy. His creative thinking is exactly what galactic diplomacy needs." 6 months later, Captain Alex Turner stood on the observation deck of the New Earth Embassy on Nexus Prime, watching ships from dozens of species arrive and depart. The galaxy was still adjusting to humanity's presence, but things were changing. The Mercury's edge had been recovered and converted into a monument in Earth orbit, a reminder that sometimes the most effective diplomacy came delivered at hypersonic speed. Commander Nicole Davis had been promoted to Admiral and now commanded Earth's growing interstellar fleet. Dr. Sam Rodriguez had become the galaxy's leading expert on relativistic weapons, working with Council scientists to develop new technologies for peaceful purposes. The same magnetic acceleration systems that had destroyed the communication array were now being used to launch cargo between star systems faster than ever before. Most importantly, dozens of other species had begun to question their own relationships with the Council. If humans could negotiate as equals, perhaps they could too. The age of absolute Council dominance was ending. The age of true galactic cooperation was just beginning, and it had all started with humans refusing to accept that might makes right.